sometimes people are so entitled. Like, oh, you work for me or you owe me, like I'm giving you work, I'm giving you, but you have to see it as a team. Like
Yep.
they're not your workers, they're your team.
All right,
And
everyone.
once
Thank you for joining us with another episode of Behind the Doors. And as you can see, we got two new members who've never been on the podcast before. And you see Calvin right there. You know, last time he was on, he was going berserk, dropping a lot of great information as far as being on the podcast. But before I go ahead and introduce everyone, or they introduce themselves, what I do need you guys to do on this particular YouTube page, what I need you guys to do is I need you to subscribe. I hope I'm not begging when I ask you guys to do this, but if you guys subscribe, it helps the algorithm as far as us getting out to more people. And what we're doing is I'm bringing real people who really do real estate investing. We're not talking about Lambos. We're not talking about this fake stuff that you see online. We're talking about the day to day that comes with being an investor. And I'm so happy to be on this particular episode with these three because they're really doing what they say. So I'm going to take time out. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Alana, if you want to go ahead and start it off, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Allana. I am an investor in Southern Minnesota. I currently am doing my 11th deal, which will be a flip, but right now I have four properties, mostly multifamily, so it's 15 doors right now, and excited to keep buying in 2026.
Hi, my name is Andres Bernal. I am actually from Dominican Republic, but I live in Connecticut now for the past 13 years. I focus right now more on flips. I own and self-manage about 60 doors, going from student rentals to Section 8, regular, whatever, single family, multifamily, small multifamily, and yeah, happy to be here.
Hey guys, my name is Calvin Cannon Jr., known as the real estate business coach. I'm located in the Philadelphia area. I am the creator of the Buy, Flip, Hold system. Currently, we are heavily investing in commercial residential lots, new construction, and yeah, and I'm excited about being here on the podcast and looking forward to what information and strategies and systems that I can offer to help. So make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, perfect, perfect. And as the audience knows, we're just having conversation as real estate investors, bouncing ideas, thoughts, and having conversation on our experiences. So let's go ahead and get started. So for most people, we'll say most, and people, they'll go ahead and they'll close on the property and they think that's it. They're taking the pictures with the signs. They think it's game over, like we've won the championship. And as we know, as far as investors, that's when things just start to happen. And one of the biggest things that should happen before they even close is getting your scope of work and working with contractors. So I wanted to go ahead and open the floor to anyone. What does it look like from the time you close to you're working with your GC, or if you're the GC working with the tradesmen in that business? What does your business look like when you are in that phase before you're getting renters in?
Yeah, so we have 12 guys on payroll right now. So we have 12 contractors. The scope of work, you are as good as your scope of work as an investor, especially if you are a flipper. And I'm telling you this because I spend probably my average time on a flip is between 10 to 15 hours. And because I have really, really good systems and I have people that are running those systems, but I spend about 3 to 4 hours in the scope of work. And that's almost half of it. And the reason why is because, and I talk to this a lot, if you don't do that, you're gonna be spending more hours and time making decisions on the back end. So the way that I do is we have two scope of works. Number one is the things that how big the house is, how big the rooms are, how many baseboard heater, how many windows, how many doors, how many. That is one scope of work, and it's very detailed until like what kind of latch you're gonna put on the door. One. The other one is the material. So we source, I would say, not 80 to 90% to Lowe's. We have a really good relationship with Lowe's. And I have a spreadsheet with everything, literally until like every screw that we use in the house. And what I do is I talk to my contractor, okay, what do we need of this, and we order 80 to 85% of the materials. Obviously, there's stuff that has to be, change or work order change. But pretty much we spent 3 hours doing that. And that allowed us to do multiple projects and have our guys to understand how well. So be thorough with the scope of work, because if you don't do that, you're gonna spend every day, you're gonna spend so much time making decisions, making like what kind of knob you're gonna use, what kind of cabinets, what kind of floor, what kind of light is gonna be here, what kind of yeah. And then the other thing that I do is I try to use pretty much the same thing in a medium, I will say, look like flip. So any house that is between, let's say, 350 to 400, 450, I pretty much use the same. Like same flooring, same paint, same everything.
Calvin, is your beginning the same as far as when it's time for scope of work? Very detailed, very, go ahead.
So ours is similar to same, but a little bit different. So we always start with the end in mind. So we know that, okay, this is the finished product that we want to look at. So when it comes to, before we close a deal, we always walk out the property, but we also farm in a particular backyard. So I know that because we do buy, flip, hold, that our flips are going to be in this particular demographic area. So if we know that a 1,200, 1,300 square foot house, we have a scope of work for that particular type of house. We probably spend about maybe 30 days on a scope of work before we execute, only because we want to get all the kinks and stuff out, and then we buy in bulk. So let's just say that we pick up 5 single family homes in one particular area. Like, for example, 19150 is an area that we flip heavy in Mount Airy in Philadelphia. So we know that from 1,000 square feet to 1,300 square feet, this particular scope of work is our blueprint. That's the roadmap for us. So once we have that, we already got the materials, we got the laborers who we want to do the job with. So before we go to closing, before we go to that settlement table, we know that, hey, when we walk out the property, not only do we walk out with an appraisal, with the appraiser, we walk out with the contractors for the scope of work. And then we're also walking out the property to make sure that the numbers make sense. Once we have all of that, we have the end in mind. So going to the settlement table, for some, they go to the settlement table, they sign off, and then, hey, they celebrating. We leave the settlement table, we get right to work. So that's that's pretty much our system, what we do with scope of work.
And you do that obviously when the offer is accepted already.
So
or before you put an offer.
So we do that before we put the offer in, because we don't want to tie up our EMD. So when we're looking at the property, when we go to look at it, we go with a team. Sometimes people go just like just the individual to see if it works. We've already ran our numbers, so we know that what our offer is going to be. If they accept it at this point, if we have to negotiate or do an escalation clause, we know from our lowest point to our highest point. We map everything out at our highest point, because if we can get the property lower, then that's even a better number for us. Right. So we do that before we put the offer in. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Allana, what about you?
So basically, I've only done one full flip. My strategy has been more like long term. I've done short term, long term. I've done a little bit of everything to gain that experience. But I would say my relationships with contractors really started like 2 years ago. I did my first full flip, and I honestly didn't know like who to contact, because before that I was like trying to buy as turnkey as I could, and either like Airbnb-ing them or like renting them out. So I had minimal work at the beginning of my real estate career. And so then when I was doing this flip, I'm like, I don't know who to really contact. Like, I don't really know. And so that's when I really first built my relationship. So I don't have contractors on payroll, but I do have them basically on speed dial. And I feel like I have given them so much work that they do make me a priority, which is awesome. But yeah, I think building the relationships with them is like really important. And then I do also go in with the end in mind. So I have a flip I'm doing right now where I'm actually closing on it on the 31st. But I already know like, okay, well, I want to move the bathroom because I want to add a third bedroom. And so I already have like been talking to those contractors so that when I close, they're prepared to get to work. So I can have it, hold it as little time as possible.
Allana, I like you adding that particular part. So Andres got a whole crew, 12 guys. Calvin got his team, but you're coming from a different perspective. You said, hey, I had to make these connections, and I'm sure these gentlemen had to do the same thing also. So let me stay there with the connections of the contractors and hiring skilled labor individuals. Allana, yourself, how did you make those connections first?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate because my former brother-in-law was my real estate agent for that flip house, and he's more of an investor than a real estate agent himself, kind of like yourself, Gus. And so I just asked him, and he introduced me, and I think like they do a lot of work for him, and so it's like they don't want to disappoint him. They're going to get to work on, mine. I had the same last name as him at the time, and then since then, that relationship just formed. I just made sure to pay them super promptly. It's always my first priority to get them taken care of, and it's pretty easy to formulate the relationship when you're giving them pretty consistent work.
Yep, that part, the last part you said, 100% agree with, and especially them getting paid on time. Please make sure you pay these contractors on time. Then they start getting upset and mad. They're not getting those checks, and I had to learn the hard way with that. So, Alana, I do want to ask this because it did pop in my mind. So sometimes when someone's working for someone and they're their primary guy, and that primary guy refers it to you. In your case, it felt like you were getting the same type of attention that the real estate agent guy was getting, would you say,
Mhm.
or was it a little bit different?
I feel like they gave me pretty, well, maybe a little bit different, but I feel like they kind of prioritized my flip right away, based on, him just texting them like, hey, my sister-in-law is doing X, Y, and Z. She's going to be contacting you. But it was kind of like a little awkward at first. Like I was kind of like, okay, like, can I still text them? Like, or was just that one flip? Like, am I still a priority? Do they believe I'm actually doing this? And just giving them that consistent work, because right after that I took the profit from that flip and bought a mixed use space that needed a complete renovation. I held it, so I didn't like resell it, but it needed everything, and so that really made them be like, all right, Alana's a priority, I think so.
Good, good. And to be introduced to a situation like that where it worked for you, definitely a win. And some people may take that and run with it. I do want to go with the gentleman at the bottom. So you guys kind of got crews. So tell me the structure of those crews, how you found those guys, what are you looking for? We'll start with you, Andres.
So I was gonna add something that Alana said. I have hired probably more than 200 contractors, like like 11 years that I've been like buying properties. I started in 2017, but like I I did some projects for some other, and I do projects sometimes for other people when things are like December and January. Sometimes if I have like three guys, I just do other projects for other people. And one of the things that I always recommend is put your criteria up front and don't be afraid of it. So, for example, the problem with the contractors is you go to the site, you say, hey, I want this wall to be painted. But what happens is that we're not as specific. Why? Because a wall that is painted, it can be painted. But what if you say, hey, no visible patches, no scratches, no here, no, like you have to be specific without being like mean or without being like too picky. And when I'm doing that, like the trim, for example, they put the trim and sometimes like they don't caulk it really well. That drives me nuts, right? And it's not because I'm perfectionist, but because I know that my buyer will see that, right? So one of the things that I say, hey, make sure that the seams are good, the angle are good cut. You put caulking around it. The nails are caulked, sanded, and painted. And when I say that to somebody like a GC that I hire, I had never had any issues. So two things happens: either they don't take your job, or they do your job at the quality that you want. So those two things happen. One of the things, now go back to your question, Gus. One of the things that I started with like one or two guys, and then those two guys, and then it grew to like 3 to 4, and it was mostly referrals. Like I didn't list it like, hey, I need crew. It was just like, oh, who do you know? Who do you know? Like my first two guys brought the other two, and then the other two brought the other two, and being Latino obviously helps. But definitely helps that communication. But I think that I always say that if you're starting investing and you have like two projects a year, and then you have maybe like 2 to 3 rentals, and you can also do work for others, getting the GC license is super easy and not even that expensive. It's really, really easy. It's actually harder to get your driver license than your GC license. That I put it that way. At least in Connecticut. I don't know in those states. But one of the things that I do is you can do your flips, you can do your rentals, and you can also do work for others. And that way you keep that one or two guys busy. And the main advantage you have in-house is like you're working on a project and something happened in one of your rentals. Hey, can you just go? So it's like it's a no-brainer for me to have a crew right now.
Calvin, what about you?
Oh man, yeah. Andrews hit everything right on the nose, man. So for us, we have a four-step process. Step one process of our system is we go out and we farm for contractors, right? So the Home Depot, the Lowe's. And what we do is we focus on the Home Depot and Lowe's that are in the area in the vicinity of the project that we're working on, because those contractors that are in those particular Home Depots and Lowe's are probably in that area as well. Because most contractors don't want to drive far, right, to go get supplies. So they want to drive to the closest supply area. So we farm those areas. So I have a team of individuals who work in my office. They just go strictly out looking for contractors. Once we find the contractors that we're interested in, the very first thing that we do is we go see their work. If it's a contractor that does not have a job currently, we bypass them. Because if you don't have a job, then we can't see your work. Showing us pictures and videos, those days are over with AI and edits. And I can show you Andrew's work and say that, hey, I did this and I never picked up a hammer in my life, right? So if you're not currently on a job, we're probably going to bypass you. Then we'll go to their job. We'll look to see what they're doing. Immediately, if we get a good feeling about that, the second phase, the third phase of that is we take them to our project and we show them and say, hey, this is the finishing look that we're looking for. Remember, we always start with the end in mind. So we take them to what we've done, show them, and then we let them walk around and we ask them, hey, what would you have done different? Do you identify anything here, or you see anything here that you would have did a different way, or do you see something that's not right? And then as they're looking at it, now they're getting your expectations of what your final and finishing project is supposed to look like, because we're showing them, we're walking them through that, right? And then the fourth thing that we do is what Andrew said is very, very important. We do everything in-house. So we manage our own properties in-house. So when we do find a good contractor, the golden carrots we call is letting that contractor know, hey, you got this big project, but then we also have little small minute jobs from our property management company. So if you do this well, we'll also continue to feed you with the smaller jobs. So now that contractor is dug in, like he don't want to go, he or she don't want to go nowhere, because you're getting big jobs for the month, and then you're also getting little jobs throughout the week in order to keep continuing to feed your family. And the last thing I'll add with that is that we treat them well. Holidays, we're giving out baskets, Thanksgiving, we're giving out turkey dinners, we're giving out gift cards. When we finish a project and we cash out refile, we finish a project and we flip it. No, we don't just take our proceeds and profit and put it in our pocket. We also look at our team, the people that surround us. So if we have a contractor that helped us get to that finish line fast, well, we might give him $100 gift card, or we might buy him a tool just to show appreciation of thank you.
I like that last part. Sometimes I'll say this is maybe something that where I'm not looking at. I'm on tunnel vision. So I'm like, yo, I need to get this amount. I need to get this amount. And what you said right there, I need to get better at. And that's me reflecting upon myself. Yo, these guys are busting their butt for me. Yes, they're getting paid, but I gotta show them more love. So
One of the things that I do, Gus, and this can help you. So I pay them every 2 weeks. I bring them the checks and I bring them coffee. And that thing, like sometimes I get my contractor in the afternoon. We have process where like they have to report to me every single day in the afternoon, like at 5:30 when the day is done. So they send me a video every single day on WhatsApp about what the projects that we have and what the progress. I have guys. These are not people that are like educated, but they say, "Hey, boss, thank you for the coffee." And that $2, $3, whatever it was, it means so much, because the truth is like nobody does that for them. Sometimes people are so entitled, like, oh, you work for me or you owe me, like I'm giving you work, I'm giving you, but you have to see it as a team. Like they're not your workers, they're your team. And once I shift that, because I do have a team of three people that handles all the rentals. We have almost 100 tenants. And once I get that shift, I'm like, man, and like I have the people that I started with 10 years ago, as the same people that are here. So yeah, just coffee, even coffee, like, something.
You know what I might do after we do this? Might hit him with a little bonus, little coffee after,
Yeah.
and I need to. And when I'm saying this, I'm not joking around. It's hard. You got many things you're working on, and you forget to give back to people that are helping you build this all
Sure.
up. So I'm glad you gentlemen both said that.
I was going to say, when I got into real estate investing, I didn't know anything. Like, I literally was like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to learn as I go. And so I actually feel like these contractors, like, were responsible for teaching me a lot as well. I had a lot of questions. And last night I had friends over for dinner, and I was like, one of them does detailing, $100 details. I was just thinking last night, maybe for Christmas, I should get them like each a $100 detail, because those work vehicles get dirty. And I'm like, so it's so funny you brought that up, because I'm like, yeah, I should probably do something for these guys that have really helped me out. And because of them, is part of the reason I'm successful. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And something I want to add for everybody. One of the things that we do too is two things here. One, and I don't know why they do this, but it's just something part of the culture. They always call you boss, 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 boss.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
We stop that, and I tell them, I'm not your boss. We're partners. I'm your partner, and we beat that in their head that no, there's no egos here. We're partners. You come and bring your quality. You bring an aspect to the business to get to the finish line. We're bringing an aspect to the business to get to the finish line. So when they be like, boss, I'm like, no, I'm not your boss. We're partners. Because you want to teach them also to respect their business as well, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the things that we do is very, very important. I think everybody should probably, maybe grab a little bit of this. When we have our team meetings, we have contractor meetings too, so we can get their input. So we'll have like a Zoom call, or we'll have like a morning huddle, or an afternoon huddle, and all the contractors come together. And then we sit down and we talk. Hey, here's where we are. We're going over the blueprint, right? We're going over the plan. We're going over the layouts. So everybody feels like they having some type of input in there. And the last thing I'll say is what I do is what makes things very, very good is one contractor in at a time. If I'm doing the demo phase, right? So the demo cleanout guy is in, nobody else is there. When he's done, so when he gets started, he starts the canvas. In every phase of the project, we call it clean canvas delivery. So he comes in, he clears out the trash, he demos, boom. Now we got a clean canvas. Here comes the framer. When the framer comes in, he's by himself. He or she is by themselves. When they get done framing, they clean up, they deliver the product back, and then so on and so on. So each phase of the project, everybody goes in on their own. There's not multiple contractors flying back and forth. After they deliver what they have to deliver, they deliver the property back as a clean canvas. When you start doing that, your projects become safe, things move faster, and everybody's in line.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so Andreas, you said something I wanted to go back to, and that's going to Lowe's. I know a guy, Benito, out in Philly. He's always throwing me these messages. He's getting these crazy discounts at Lowe's. I'm like, and so I went to, my place over here. They're telling me they can't give me the same discount. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you doing, man, to get these discounts? So I'm sure I'm still, I've only been investing for 5 years, but I've been in rehabbing heavily 3 years, I would say. So I'm still trying to get these tricks of the trades. And Alana, would you say the same thing for you too? You're still
Yeah.
trying to understand the best benefits. So let me ask you, you two guys here, how you getting these discounts from these companies? I know you talked about wholesaling, but Andreas, we'll start with you.
I get almost 30% on those. Then
I'm
I'm
about to
gonna,
clip this. I'm gonna clip this, and I'm gonna
yeah,
send it to you. I'm like, I need.
no, I'm gonna tell you right now how I get it. You first go to the pro desk and ask to put your items in a bidding room. The bidding room. So first, you create that relationship, obviously, with the sales manager in that store, in one store. Then, and every Lowe's has this, so you can go to Main and Lowe's, and you can do this. So then, once you create that relationship, you say, "Hey, I want you to put everything in the bidding room." That gives you between 15 to 20%.
Yep.
When you buy more than $1,000, $1,000 is like you might get like 10%, maybe 15. My orders looks like 6 to 10K every time I order. I don't order 100% of the things there, but I order majority of it. Then once they put it in the bidding room, you're gonna get the credit card, which gives you 5%. Any order above like 5,000, 6,000, I'm getting at least 22%, at least. Then you open the credit card, which gives you 5% off or 6 months deferred, but I get the 5%, and this is a commercial account. So I get Lowe's checks every quarter.
Those
This
checks.
is so last year we didn't flip from September to December. So they give you out of whatever you spend, they give you 1, 2, 3%. So I got a check from almost $1,200. I don't know if you guys can see, but so I get this every 3 months. Plus I get the rewards, which the rewards we use for like the points of rewards we use for landscaping. That's our landscaping budget every time. And this is a debate we can do here, but we buy some things at Home Depot, and I think the advantage at Home Depot, I think contractors like Home Depot better. I personally like Lowe's even before the discounts for some reason. Contractors majority like Home Depot. I think the Lowe's gives you more. The advantage with Home Depot is you get the 12-month with no interest if you get the credit card. So that's a huge plus when you're doing flips, especially when you're doing volume. But if you guys have any questions about that, I'm free to ask, because again, we're saving a lot of material there.
Might have to hit you with some money on the side so you can talk to my Lowe's people up here. But Calvin,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We do almost the same thing. Again, we start with the end in mind, right? So we go to both Lowe's and Home Depot, and then we go to like the local supplies for like lumber and things of that nature and floors and stuff. So the first thing we do is we always go in and just like Andrew said, we go to the pro desk. I think that and I don't know if Andrew does this, but what we do is we go to the pro desk and we ask to speak to the manager. We ask the manager to assign us a pro desk associate. So we'll have a manager, an account manager that only works on. We only work with that account manager. So it's not like we're going in and we're seeing a bunch of different people. We have that one account manager. The next thing we do is so once we get the account manager, the next day we buy in the whole Pro Desk pizza, right? So we want our name to get out there. We want everybody to know, hey, this is CNC Investments. When they come in, you treat them right because they treat us right, right? So we do it with Lowe's, we do it with the Home Depot, we do it with the local lumber yard, we do it with the floor people. Once we start building a relationship with the account manager, the first thing we want to do is the same thing that Andrew said, is that everything goes through the bid room, no questions asked. But then we knock it a notch up. Not only does it go through the bid room, we also get bid room quotes. Now, this is what that means. That means that if I'm an investor in the area, Gus, you're an investor in the area, Allana, investor in the area, Andrews is an investor in the area, we come together and I say, listen, we're about to buy 15 pallets of floors. What is it that you need? So now we'll take everybody's order and we'll put it on our quote. Once we get it on the quote, it goes to the bid room, then it sits on the quote. Once it sits on the quote, you can utilize my quote to get my pricing. That makes sense? So Gus, when you say, hey, can you go talk to these guys? If Andrews is in your area, Andrews can put his stuff on a quote. And then now you can just take his quote to your Lowe's and pull it up in the system and say, this is the pricing that we're getting from our quote. That's how Benito is able to do what he's doing in Philadelphia, because we're sharing quotes.
He didn't tell me that part.
He ain't gonna tell you that part.
I think also my guy works nationally too. So the Lowe's in New Haven, he can send you stuff all over the. I'm happy to share his contact with you guys and with anybody. But so shipped actually something in Buffalo for a friend of mine. So yeah, I can share that with you guys.
So then once we get the quotes going, the quotes is in the system. I think the quotes are good for maybe like a month, right? So let's just say, hey, I'm going to buy 2x4 lumbers. I'm going to buy, 5,000, 10,000 of lumber. So now I got that quote in the system. Andrews is going to probably go buy some kitchens. So now he has the kitchen quote in the system, right? Gus, you're going to go buy some floors. You got the floor quote in the system, right? Allana is going to go buy roofing material. Now she got the roofing quote in there. And now we're just sharing the quote. So if I got the quote for the floor, if I got the quote for the lumber, I'm going to give you my quote. So now you can just go, hey, listen, go underneath this account, and here's the quote for the lumber. So we all got different quotes because we're buying it in bulk. That's one of our strategies. The other strategy is very, very simple. We pound on one of the retailers, whether we pound on Lowe's and we're bringing all our stuff through Lowe's. We take the Lowe's quote and we go over to Home Depot, because we have an account manager at Home Depot too, and we flip-flop the quotes. Listen, this is what Lowe's is giving me. Can you beat it? We're about to spend $15,000, $20,000 here. Can you beat that quote? Oh no? Then we go back over to Lowe's. But then we don't leave out the smaller guys, which is the distributors. We'll take those quotes to those distributors and say, listen, this is what I'm getting. If you can beat this number, then we'll buy from you this time. And we just try to show love to all three retailers to try to see if we can build up that relationship.
No,
And that's how we build it up. I
that's
mean, like
dope.
we're getting sheetrock for $9, $10 a sheet. We're getting 2x4s, $4 or $5, a board. So I mean, by us doing this process, and we're constantly doing work, right? So we're flipping about 2 to 3 properties a month. We're on holds maybe about 2 to 3 properties every 90 days. So we're constantly moving through. Then I got students, right? Because I got the mentorship. So I got my students coming through. So my students are running the same course. They're running the same program. So that we're feeding these retailers.
No, and they definitely like that. And I brought some of my mentees to these companies, and
Yep.
they treat me well, but they ain't treat me as good as you guys. So we definitely gonna have that convo. But Allana, I want to go back to you because these guys are getting discounts. They got employees, things along those lines. But let's talk about when you did your flip and your rehabs. How are you buying materials? Is there a certain store, or how are you going about that, or are you leaving it more on the general contractor to be able to determine those things?
No, I determined all that kind of stuff. I have a funny story about Lowe's to like contrast a brand new investor to you guys. I went to Lowe's and bought like 3,000 worth of flooring. That's not like a huge number, but it's not, nothing either. But put the flooring in ourselves because I do as much work as I can myself, especially early on. And you couldn't tell until the flip was all done. But one of the packages of flooring had a different serial, like a die number.
Mhm.
And so it looked so dumb because the strip in the middle of the living room was like lighter black. I did like black marble, but it was like lighter black. Anyways, I was like mortified because I'm like, I'm showing this house, to people. Well, my realtor was, and I'm like, it's so obvious, and it looked really stupid, right?
Mhm.
So I went back to Lowe's and I had put in a special order. It was the black faux marble onyx, whatever. And I put in a special order. They shipped it to Lowe's, like specifically for my order. So it's not like I went and picked out the packages, had it delivered, and they're like, "Well, you should have checked the die serial number on the boxes." And I'm like, "Well, now I know that." But like, why didn't the people who were going to ship it check that when they shipped it and packed the truck? Whatever. Anyway, they didn't do anything for me. Now it might be different, as I've like been back a lot through my projects, but I like Lowe's the best. I still just do because of like what they have available, but I do find I do shop around, and I find Home Depot has better prices on appliances typically. And unfortunately, I've had to replace a lot of appliances in my rentals recently. And so I found that Home Depot, in my area at least, runs a lot of deals on that. So we'll see. That's with this new flip that I'm closing on soon. I have to start buying materials pretty soon here, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah.
Yeah, if you guys buying appliances, buy Frigidaire. That's the best brand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, by far, that's the best brand. I track this because again, one of the biggest expense on a rental and on a flip, especially on the high end, it's appliances. So I track, everything. I don't buy anything that is not Frigidaire. It's for me the best.
Let me
Need
just
to know because wasn't really partial to like a brand. It was kind of
Yeah.
like what looks decent. Like I don't want to get like the
pricey.
cheapest necessarily, but
Yeah.
I want it to be, cost effective. So
Yeah.
Me, I'm in there looking for what's the cheapest looking nice combo, So
Yeah.
I'm not committed to nothing. Like I'm going in, I'm looking, I'm seeing what's the deals, what you got, and if it looks good and the price is decent, I'm buying it. You know what I mean? So that may not be the best way to do about it. I'm still cheap. I want to tell everyone I'm cheap as can be, frugal. Let me use that word. But sometimes that works against me, and sometimes that works for me. So I'm still trying to navigate, what's the happy medium between everything. But Calvin, go ahead.
Yeah, 2 things real quick, just to add some value to Allana as well. Anytime you buy like floors or anything for everybody out there, you always tell the Lowe's, Home Depot, even the distributor, give me the same date and lot number, and just make sure that they look at that date and lot number, because if that date is off, the lot number is off, you're going to have different shades. But even on a worse day, if you have that, just tell your contractor to mix and match, like just put it in the mix. So that way it's not just one strip. It's like they're like floating all over the place, so it can kind of blend. But get that date and lot number before you even make that payment. Like, listen, I want to see all my dates. I want to see all the lot numbers. Make sure the floors are good. The other thing is, one thing that we do, when it comes to appliances. And I agree with Andrews. Frigidaire has been our number one
Frigidaire.
durable for durability. Frigidaire has been the best, and they got the better warranty. But what we do is every single holiday, like 4th of July, Black Friday special, Cyber Monday for Amazon, whatever it is, all the Lowe's and Home Depot run specials. We take a business credit card, maybe 5K, 10K on the business credit card, and that's strictly for appliances. Once they run that sale, we get 4 pieces for like $1,200. Stainless steel 4 pieces, like, and most times it's Frigidaire and it's Whirlpool that we get. So we'll load up on 5, 6, 7 sets at a time. As soon as they drop that special, we go in with that business credit card, 0% interest, and we load up. So that way you're getting things at a good price compared to when you're done your flip or when you're done your rental. Sometimes when it's time for the appliance package, there is no sale going on. So you got to hit them when that sale is there. So as soon as you see any type of holiday, President's Day or whatever holiday you celebrate, don't think about the holiday, think about your business and go to that Lowe's or that Home Depot and you just rack up an order of appliances. Like right now, we're probably sitting on 15 packages right now just to distribute. Now, don't think like, well, I don't have the units to put them in. They're coming. Those units are coming. So if you pay $1,200 for a Frigidaire 4-piece, that's typically about $2,000 or $2,400, you're saving money.
Yeah. So let's talk about, designs. And Allana, we're gonna start with you when it came to the design of your flip and what you plan on doing with the current flip that you're about to close on. Tell me how you're going about that. Like, what do it's a flip, so that's good to know. And the gentlemen, they'll talk about flips and rentals also. But what do you normally like to do in a flip to get its highest value?
Sure. So when I bought my last flip, what I really looked for as far as a value add to start was, can I finish this basement? Because if I can add a 3rd bedroom in this area of town, it'll be worth a lot more. So as far as like that design, I try to make sure I can add something of significant value. But then I actually have a question for you guys. So I used to do, like Andre said, he did like the same paint, like the same everything for everything. And I was doing Repose Gray from Lowe's. But now I'm getting like word that like this millennial gray is, people are going to get sick of it.
Yeah.
So for my new one, I'm like, do I kind of change what I've always done? And I've kind of always done the same paint, like just to keep it simple, mostly the same flooring, stuff like that. And so now for this new one, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make this a 3rd bedroom. I'm going to put the bathroom here. But as far as the overall design, I'm just making sure it's aesthetic and that someone will still want it. I'm still kind of deciding. It does have hardwood floors that could probably be resurfaced, but I personally like the look better of like an LVP floor. So this one I'm actually still kind of trying to decide, and it's probably because I haven't done a ton of flips. On my rentals, I do as minimal work as possible. I had a tenant reach out to me last night. He's like, hey, can you call me? I was like, oh, heart always drops. I'm like, oh man, hopefully it's not something huge. And it was like 9 p.m. So I called him last night and he's like, yeah, I took up, there was a little chip in a floorboard, which I already told him I wasn't going to replace. I'm like, I'm not replacing the whole floor for this one chip, And he's like, so I tripped on it. And so I like pulled it up and I just pulled up a couple pieces and there's hardwood underneath this LVP. And I didn't do the floor, so I didn't know that. But I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, I'll send you a picture. He sends me a picture. He had taken off, not a couple panels, he had taken off half the floor. And I'm just like, yeah. Oh, I said, well, I'm not like paying you for that. Like, I guess if you wanted to do that, you have a lease for the next year, like over a year actually. But I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, yeah, I don't like the look of it, but I guess he's the one who has to live there right now. And yeah.
I just type you guys the one that I use on my flips. It's a very it's a color. I have gotten people almost paying me for this color because when I post it on social media, it's like, what color do you use? And I use the same color in my flip, and that's the Drift of Mist by Sharon Williams. So check it out. It is, I actually copied this from James Daner. He's a big flipper in the Seattle area, very active on Bigger Pockets. So he's really good. For my rentals, I use Silver Dust, and it's still a little light gray. And Allana, the reason why I do that is because rentals, tenants still like that light gray. And the lighter that you paint your rooms, the bigger it will look like, especially in a smaller unit. So I still use that Silver Dust, even though people have criticized me, but I get my tenants love it, and that's what I care about. So that's what I use. About the flooring, one of the things that I do is I always buy a little bit extra when I'm installing LVP because, and I leave like a couple boards for the new owner. A good floor installer can actually, let's say one of the boards is scratch, can actually cut around the board and install it. Is it gonna look the same as original, like as I'm putting? No, but on rentals, I have done this many times, and instead of just replacing a whole room, I can just replace a board. Very careful. So definitely you can do that. Refinishing hardwood is so what are the things that I'm doing on my flips? Open concepts are huge, especially in my area. Especially in smaller houses. It's definitely a must. Kitchens, when you go to luxury, has to have an island, has to be wide open. I just sold a house, and the kitchen was not, the kitchen is what keeps me not selling the house. And this is $1 million house. I mean, I flipped $300,000 house and I flip $1 million house. So like $1 million house, you need a big kitchen, definitely an island, open concepts, definitely a yard on any. If you have fence, is a plus. Fence, because a lot of people have dogs, so they can love the house, but if you're pricing it well, if you're pricing it and they don't have like extra money to put a fence, they're not gonna put an offer if they don't see any fence. Things are working. Black and gold fixtures are working really well. White cabinets, if you paint them, still working really well. If you start going like blue, green, and all that, you might hit the person. But when I flip a house, I'm trying to cater to majority of people. And tiles, I try to not get them from Lowe's and Home Depot because, again, when people see that it's like the same veiny, whatever tile, then they see the Home Depot, they're nothing special. So I use tileclub.com, is really good. Get really nice like green tile there that is like you won't see this anywhere. Garages are very important, depending on the price point too, or at least like parking space. And overall, I just actually made a video about it. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. There's 3 things that I recommend to people to do as long as all the mechanicals are good. And it's landscaping, paint, and flooring. Those are my 3. After hundreds of homes that I sold in 10 years, I can tell you that those 3 are the biggest ROI. In rentals and flips, paint, flooring, and landscaping. I'm not proud of this, but I have put lipstick on a pick. Like, the mechanicals are good. They're old, but they work. I have put those 3 that I'm telling you, and I'm doing it right now, as we speak. And I have sold almost at if somebody will flip the house. Almost. And I have data to prove that. I'm not just saying it. So I have data to prove it. So yeah, that's what
That's totally where I'm at with this one too. Is I'm buying it for 100, and they wanted a lot more than that, and they actually declined my offer, and then they didn't get any better ones, so they came. The next one was 99, so I was right there with another investor. But most of the reason was the furnace, the water heater, all that is really old. And so was just thinking that I'm like, well, I want to make it nice. It's functioning. But I thought in my head, I'm like, is it like, yeah. So, cause I'm just not as experienced in like the flip. And so I was like, are people going to look at that when they come in and, not want to offer as much as I'm asking, or if it's aesthetically beautiful and everything works, so.
Well,
I've kind of been there.
let's if you guys are willing to do this, let's ask some questions. So you're buying it for 100. What is your idea to sell it for?
I think in this area, it's right across the street from like my business center. I have a mixed use space. It's directly across the street. So I kind of like know that area comparably. I think the highest that this particular house could go for is 180. Buying it at 100, the bank is giving me 30,000 in renovation, but I want to keep that as low as possible and not use up that 30,000 by doing as much as I can myself. So I was thinking like at least like 165, 170, but I want to start higher, obviously, and see what I can get. But
yeah. So with that 30,000 that you're thinking of, oh, well, you want to keep it to a bare, what are you thinking to improve it right now before these two gentlemen dive into it and say the things that will be important or not. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to go through this because I was thinking about moving the bathroom and because where the bathroom is right now, it's really awkward. You walk in and it should be like a bedroom, but it can't be because like the bathroom is like in the corner of that room. And so it's weird, but it's just not functional. And so if I move the bathroom, then that room can just become a third bedroom, which will add value. Or to keep prices minimal on my end, I could keep the bathroom there, but expand it, make it a nice big bathroom with laundry in there as well. So the laundry's not in this like unfinished basement. Because I think a big bathroom adds a lot of value, but then it would stay a 2 bedroom with just a big bathroom. And I'm like, in my head, is it worth the money to create a third bedroom and create value, or will it create enough value itself at my price point, just making it like a nice big bathroom slash laundry room on the main floor, keep the 2 bedrooms? So I'm kind of going back and forth on my head. That would obviously keep the prices a lot cheaper for me to profit as much as possible, but yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure.
before these vets start going, I can see them. They're getting ready to say a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna shoot off some questions to you. You just tell me if these are things you plan, what the condition are. Tell me if it's good, it's okay. Give me some information. The roof, how's the roof?
15 years old, but it looks good.
Okay, how you talked about the furnace briefly, but how old is the furnace?
I think I couldn't actually find like a year on it, and my agent didn't know for sure. Well, I could tell that they were old, basically.
Okay. As far as the foundation, is that good?
Yep.
Okay, foundation good. As far as do you plan on putting new flooring down, or what is the flooring? That's the better part. What is the flooring right now?
It's hardwood, but I think I want to cover it up with LVP. I don't think it would look great resurfaced, honestly.
All right. Now, is this the property you're finishing the basement?
No, that was my
Okay.
last flip. This
Okay.
one I don't have the opportunity to like add a bedroom down there, so I wouldn't.
What's the square footage?
1240, I think.
Okay. I'm trying to give these guys as much information so when they get into it, they can. So it's two bedrooms, one bath?
Yep, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Both bedrooms are upstairs right now, which is a little annoying. But if I created that third bedroom, that would be on the main floor, and it would be like kind of a big master bedroom.
Living room?
Living room's a good size.
Dining room?
The dining room is basically like if I move the bathroom, that's where it would have to go. The kitchen is kind of small but cute. I would just paint the cabinets white. It was my plan. Um,
So cabinets are older, I'm assuming.
They're older, but they're not in like bad condition. I
Okay.
just like the look of like a nice clean white cabinet.
Are you getting new appliances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And last question I'm gonna ask, how's the outside look, the street appeal?
Um, some landscaping will go a long way, so I already planned on that. The siding isn't it's like in good condition, but it's kind of like an ugly color. Like I don't really like it that much. It's kind of like a weird yellow. But I did like sell a property the same color. I bought it at 113. I wouldn't call it a flip because I barely did anything to it, but I sold it 1 year later for 159. I'm like, well, that was the same ugly gold color, so who am I to say it would have to change? But
All
just
right.
not my preference.
All right. Who wants to step up first? Give
Calvin, you go
some advice.
first.
All right. So let's break this down. Couple things I'm hearing a lot, but let's talk about a couple things. One, just to give you some key points, right? There's a difference between a rehab and a remodel. And a lot of times people confuse the two, right? So there's a lot of people because we use the word rehab a lot, right? Oh, I'm about to do this rehab, right? But a rehab is just rehabilitating what the basic standards of the house is currently. The remodel is when you're moving things around and you might be changing, adding a bedroom, adding a bath. That's a remodel. But a lot of times with the terminology with real estate, we confuse the two sometimes, right? The thing that I will say to you is that our philosophy for in and out after the mechanicals is that we do kitchen, bath, paint, floor out the door. That's our philosophy to get in and out, right?
Yeah.
When you look at 2 bedrooms at a 1,200 square foot house, I will be looking to squeeze in a third bedroom. And here's the reason why. You make money on bedrooms. You don't make money on dining rooms anymore. When's the last time somebody sat in a dining room and ate dinner, right? So the first thing I would look at is open floor concept, get it wide open as possible. Try to get as rid of many walls that you can, structural walls that you can. Open it all the way up, right? Try to get that third bathroom in there. I mean, sorry, to try to get that third bedroom in there, and then you got to look at your competition. So one thing that we do is something called the pink elephant in the room, right? And what we do is we look at what's been selling in the area, and then we outdo it. So a prime example. So some of the flips that we do. So we typically pick up 3 bedroom, 1 bath houses, 1,000 to 1,200 square feet, anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000. Our rehab budget is always between 50,000 and 65K. We putting these same properties on the market for 350, 400,000. The last property that we put on the market at 350, we got a bidding war. Somebody came $15,000 over asking price. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we believe in something called the wow effect. When somebody walk in that house, you got 3 seconds to wow. 3 seconds. As soon as they walk in, 1, 2, 3, they got to look at something and be like, wow. And most times that's that open floor concept. Take the living room, put a fireplace on the wall, put some ceramic tile around the fireplace, open the floor up, luxury vinyl across the floor, iron rails. We don't get tricky with paint. And here's the reason why. We everything is eggshell white, ceiling white paint, white semi-gloss. We just keep it plain Jane. And the reason being because you never know who your buyer is. Your buyer might come in and don't like gray. They don't like this color. They don't like that color. So now you're kind of turning that off. So we try to keep it plain white. We just keep everything white and we give them different pops. We always do white cabinets and gold trim for our kitchens. We do either a combination of white and black tile for the bathrooms. We always do the LTV floors. It's kind of like a lightish tan floor. We'll do that. We try to pop in fireplaces. If we're going to do ceiling fans, we don't do the Home Depot specials. Amazon got these ceiling fans right now. They're flush flat ceiling fans with LED lights around it that contains colors. Remote controls are on the wall. They're $60. Home Depot fans is around the same dollar amount, but it doesn't give you that. It doesn't give you the pop. It doesn't give you the wow effect, right? So we always go after the wow effect. The other thing is your landscaping out front is priority. Is priority. When the person pull up, they might not even get out the car if the landscaping don't look good. So we do this thing called a concrete print. What we do is we take the concrete and we put a thin layer of patterns on the walkway, and then we put like maybe like it almost looks like a brick type pattern. So when you walk up the steps, is this brick pattern? I forget the name of it, but it's either brick or is this other type of stone. So you walk into the house, you're already giving them that first wow effect getting into to the house. Front door, brand new screen door, brand new front door. Open up the door, wow, right? Open up the door, look straight through, and you can see straight through the kitchen on the first floor. That's that 3 second wow effect. Typically, when we buy 3 bedrooms, one bath, we convert them into 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. So even if you can't get a bedroom in your basement, at least try to get a half a bath down there, or at least try to get it finished up, whereas though it's providing more square footage to the home mentally, for the buyer that's going to buy it. So that's what I would recommend. Always try to, if your budget is tight, go after what the appraiser is going to appraise, if that makes sense, right? So if your budget is tight, don't go after the aesthetics of looking cute. Go after where your money is. So if you got a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, but the money's tight, I'm not going to focus more on having, great paint or great fixtures. I'm focusing on getting that other bedroom in there. Because remember, you still got the house got to appraise. So the house can look magnificent finishing wise, but you want to get that appraisal number up because that's what's going to matter at the end of the day. How much value are you adding to the potential buyer on the back end?
Thank you. I'll have to
I
rewatch
have
all of that and
so
make
much to
notes.
tell you right now. I actually wrote it down.
I'm here
I-
for it.
Yeah, I'm learning as I'm speaking, guys. So thank you for this. Truly. Okay, I'm gonna go very tactical here. So I mean, Calvin and I think we have a very similar the way that we flip. On the bedrooms, when you deal with bedrooms, and if you're trying to sell as a 3 bedroom and try to get the value as a 3 bedroom, or the comps at 180 was a 2 bedroom. Your comps you say the comps are like 170, 180.
Oh yeah.
Is it as a 2 bedroom or 3?
A 2 bedroom.
Okay. And what about 3?
Okay, so this isn't super, I don't know if would be comparable. Across the street, I have a mixed use space with a apartment up top. That's technically 3 bedrooms selling wise, but it's kind of like 4. And I bought the whole building at 300 and they pay me 2,000 a month in rent. I don't know. I feel like
What
I
will
feel
be the
like 3
difference in
would be
like
closer to
value?
like okay, yeah. I feel like a 3 would probably be closer to like maybe like 190.
Okay. Okay. No,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Maybe like $10,000 a bedroom.
10,000. All right. So for anybody listening here, I'm gonna spill my sauce, like they say, right? So there's 2 ways to sell another bedroom if you have it. One is to go through the zoning. So one of the tricks that I use is when I have a 2 bedroom and I convert that as a 3 bedroom, I finish it and then I call zoning and say, hey, I bought the house and I renovated, but I realized that on the property tax it says 2 bedroom, but it's actually a 3 bedroom. They send some. I've done this at least 15 times. When I flip a house, I always do this. When I'm keeping it as a rental, maybe not because my taxes will go up, right? If you add more bedrooms, it will go up. But if you're flipping a house, you call the local zoning department and say, hey, when the job is done, you call and say, hey, this is a 3 bedroom, so they can actually change a property card. That way you get the extra value. So I've done this multiple times. Now, let's say that for some reason you don't want to call the zoning department because then the building department will be involved and then you did a lot of unpermitted work for some reason. You can tell the emotion. And when I say this is one of the things that I do, again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, but it's to take this advice as it is. But one of the things that I do is when I sell a 2 bedroom and I need a value of a 3 bedroom, I tell the buyer, listen, if you want me to go through the process, this is actually a 3 bedroom. On the property card, it says 2, but it's actually a 3. So if you want me to go through through the zoning and all the legalities, I can do that for you to make it a 3 bedroom, but it will hurt your taxes. Like your taxes will go up. So you can use it as a home, a studio, bedroom, whatever. And you can have the low taxes if I don't say anything. Nobody has told me, oh yeah, go to the local to raise my taxes. Nobody is gonna say that unless if I really need the value, then I go 3. It seems like from 2 bedrooms to 3, there's only $10,000. It's not a big difference, so I will not go through zoning. That's just my opinion. I will always recommend to refinish hardwood floor because hardwood flooring, again, I don't know in Minnesota, but at least in Connecticut, it creates character and character sells homes. So like it will definitely be better than LVP, in my opinion. Now, sometimes they're very stained and like painted and you cannot do anything, then yes, put LVP. The next thing that I'm going to say is get the way that I know the comparables. What do the realtors do? They look up comparables and they determine something, right? What I do is I take a sheet and I put a map of where my house is and where all the comparables are. And I write how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square feet, has AC, new roof, new siding. Why the house? I want to know why the house sold more than the other one, because that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what, literally, if they have blue cabinets, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I always paint flat because it hides imperfection and you don't have to remember like, oh, what kind of sheen? And if the buyers ask you, you don't have to think about it. Another trick that I do is I put on my rentals, what is the sheen, brand, and model and behind the receptacles on the light switches. I write it down. So I have a rental, and I started doing this because I started buying 2017, right? So it's almost 10 years ago. I don't remember like 10 years ago when I was starting, right? So I write it down behind. So if I forget, I just unscrew it and I know what I use behind the receptacle plate. The landscaping, do not complicate this. This is a big mistake that I see flippers do. They get Minnesota also is cold as well as the Northeast. As well as the Connecticut. Sorry. So as long as there's no tall grass, and you put mulch, and then you put like a plastic depending on the price point that you are, right? But if I'm assuming if you're like below 300, 350,000, if you put mulch and you mow the lawn and then you trim the bushes and you make everything clean and look big, that will sell. Do not try to get these expensive bushes, especially in the middle of the winter where you can. Do not try to like hire very expensive landscapers, sorry, to charge you $1,000 for like a little bit of work that you could have done with a friend. So that way you keep your budget tight. I have my landscaper now because obviously I don't want to do it, but I count that in my pricing. And the last thing that I'm gonna say is for the appraisal. I have done again, guys. I've done a lot of appraisals, probably in hundreds. One of the things that I do is I meet the appraisal every single time. I don't let them walk in my property, never without me. Even I told my realtor I want to be there. That's one of the hours that I spend out of the 10, 15 hours in my flip. And I bring them. I'm always, like, hey, how you doing? Try to get to know them, try to be a human. I give them a sheet with all the improvements and with everything money that I spent to the dollar. And sometimes I exaggerate. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna exaggerate a little bit. Like if I spent 65,000, I said I spent like 75 maybe, and I maybe lie with a little white lie there. And I've never, only in maybe 300-400 appraisals, I got one that didn't count a bedroom in one of my rentals that I refinanced. And I always, at the end of the appraisal, I always ask them, hey, can you give me a card in case that I need something appraised? Think about this. If you need something appraised and you need their business, do you think they're going to mess with your appraisal? Again, these are things that I have a friend that is an appraisal. He's telling me all this game, right? So, and then I have to figure it out by myself too. So those I have to say.
Looking all of this in, that's awesome. Yeah, I made that mistake on my last flip is I made it a lot nicer than the other houses on the street. And I was so new to it, I didn't really think about comps and stuff. And then one appraiser came in and appraised it at asking price. And then I think because that was so high, they sent a second appraiser for, I don't know, whatever, and they appraised it lower. Thankfully, my buyer made up the extra like 9,000 in cash, which will not happen very often. Like
Yeah.
once his financing said that. So I got super, super lucky. But yeah, that's burned me before. So
We have
that
all
was-
been there overdoing it. Don't think it's you. And I still do it.
yeah.
So I think they just brought up a lot of stuff and that will help you as far as determine what's the right direction for you to go in. And to the people watching this, so none of this was pre-rehearsed. Like we were just going ahead, we were having regular conversations. I saw her talking and I'm looking at the two at the bottom like, okay. They're getting all the information down. And once, I was ready for them to go, you see all the information they had to go ahead and share because of their experience, because they really do this in real life. It's off the cuff.
I was going to say something real
Yes,
quick.
yeah. Go ahead.
For Allana, Andres said something was very, very important. One, you got to show up with that appraiser. If anybody's on here and you think that you're going to, you're just too big in your business that you don't walk with the appraisers, you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table. A whole lot of money. Show up, make that investment to walk with the appraiser, introduce yourself, have some dialogue. Because here's the thing, if you're farming in a particular area, flipping or refining in a particular area, it's a strong probability that you're going to see that appraiser again. Right. So you want to build that rapport with them. And then the second thing is, Andrea said that, and I'm a double support that. Always bring your scope of work, whether it's inflated or not inflated. I recommend to inflate it a little bit because you put time and energy in there. So if you spent 65, if you know that your budget was 65,000, but you actually saved because you're an investor, you're thinking like an investor. I want to save on my budget. But then when it comes time for the appraiser, you don't want to think like that. You want to think, no, if I spent 65, I spent 75, right? So you always want to bring, I always bring the appraiser the comps that I looked up, give them a sheet of a comp. So when I come in, I bring them a folder. I got the pictures of the comps. I got my scope of work with the work that I've done, all the additive things that I do. Because remember, the appraiser can't see behind the wall. So he don't know what type of, Romex you use or what type of what you use. So you tell them, listen, I put my hard-earned money, love, and tears in this property. And you want to express that. And you showed it to them. Now, there's a way to do it, though. because some appraisers get offended if they believe that you're trying to tell them how to do their job. You don't
100%.
want to do that. You don't want to. So how you want to present it is you walk, you talk, hey, how's this, that, and that, and I try to add value. Hey, are you in the real estate? You need some help getting into real estate? Is there anything I can do to add value? And then before the end of the walk, I say, listen, if you don't mind, I did print out some like I did print out some houses in the area that did sell. If you don't mind, I would like to give them to you, not to tell you to do your job, but just to help you out if you need to look at something so it doesn't tie you up. So because appraisers want to get everything turned around fast. So you want to lean on his time is valuable, her time is valuable. I don't want you to spend too much time on mine. So let me just help you out along the way. And that has been the most successful thing that we have done with appraisers.
Yeah, I actually and again, if I'm allowed to be disagree with giving comps because that can actually I actually used to do that, and I've seen their faces like, "Oh, you're challenging me," and I'm come not. I think we have the same cadence, Calvin, but I
Right.
don't give them any comps. I just let them. Now, one of the things that I ask is, do you get the chance to check values? Like, do you know how much is the value, or do you know which number you are around? Because they obviously know
Yep.
how much you're selling it. So and I'm telling you, 3 out of 10 times they ask me, "Oh, what do you think?" And
Mhm.
when they ask me, I know I got them. And so again, if I think the house is worth 500, oh yeah, I think 520, 530. In case if he tells me, "Oh, that guy is a loser," I think he thinks it's 520. If he gives me 500, I'm still happy.
All
But
right.
obviously, you never give them like at the right time, at the right amount that you want. You always give them a little more. But again, I don't. I personally, again, Calvin, this is your method. I don't tell them about comms or bring them comms because the more they know and the more they start figuring it out, like why and all that. I just don't. I just give them a phantom value, I would say.
Yeah,
So
most times we deliver comps because we get the same appraiser. Like I know in my area is 5 appraisers that come out there,
I see.
and I know all
Yeah.
5 of them. You know what I mean?
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough.
so
I feel
so
If
like
you,
from
I,
me,
go ahead.
sometimes they look at me, I feel like, oh, I'm a female, I'm young, I'm doing this by myself. And I'm not really sure how that affects it. I don't know if they would feel more resistant to me doing that. Like, oh, like this little girl, thinks she knows better than I do or something. I'm not really sure. Sometimes I feel like there's maybe a difference in how I'm viewed or whatever, but that could also have nothing to do with that and just be the fact that I've only been doing this for 5 years. But I own the building across the street, which I think gives me some credibility and like, hey, I've been around the block a time or two. I try to always invest. I do invest in different towns, but this is the primary town I invest in, so I know the market the best. But that is seriously all such good information. And I just want to say to any like new investors, like if you haven't jumped in yet, or if you're like pretty new, I'm 5 years in and I'm still like learning so much. So like just asking these questions, like never think that you know too much to ask questions
yeah.
because I literally am going back and I'm going to write everything down. So thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so I want to go ahead and say another thing. So I'm a little different as far as how I go about it. So I don't want anyone to judge me for in person for who I am. What I go ahead and do is the appraiser will call me, and this is for when I'm selling something or when I'm doing a refi. So when they call me, I'm keeping a good conversation and I say, hey, also what I like to do when we purchase the home, here are some comps when I purchased it, and here's the current comps right now. I'm not trying to tell you how to go ahead and do your job in no fashion, but these are things that I found. Now, my thinking is, I feel like appraisers get annoyed and this is just me. There's different ways to get to the top of the mountain. So these are just my thoughts. I feel like your appraiser gets annoyed if I'm there and, looking or, I'm just there in general. Because a lot of times they want to just be in and out and go on to the next spot. So my thinking is I send them all the comps to begin with. Boom, I'll send them, and I'll send them the scope of work, like Calvin said. This is what I did with the house. Here's all the information. I don't go when they do the appraisal. So a lot of guys do know me around here, so they already know me in that level, but some don't know me, especially especially when I get out of, so I do sometimes refis with the commercial loan. So we get a lot of out of state, they're from Massachusetts that come up here and they'll do their appraisal. Now, this is just my thought. They don't know my market. So therefore, they want their job to be easier. So my thinking is I'm making their job easier. So when I'm sending those comps up, I know they're helping them. And I've seen it before. They're asking me questions about the comps I sent them. Hey, this property X, Y, and Z, do you know the owner? And for me, it's easier to contact those owners to get the information that they're missing to add on to that. So, and I don't know, Andres might have said this when I'm sending the comps, I'm not trying to make it the right where it needs to be. I'm putting it higher because I think one, I'm confident in what I put out there. Let me say that first and foremost. But I'm putting it higher, so even if it's lower, it's still higher than what it needs to be. And at the end of the day, that's all I need is for it to be higher than what I need to be. So those are some of the lanes I travel to that I like to go ahead and do it for myself. I don't want to be there with them, but Alana, a lot of things that you're hearing right now is a good information for you to take back and see what's your plan of attack, how to go about, the whole flip. So I'm glad we were able to touch in with that. I do want to get one more thing in. And I think this is very, very important. When the rehab is done, and now it's time to flip, or it's time to market it and get it rented. We'll do both scenarios. How should it be look like? How should it look like? Who are we getting in there to touch up the place? We'll start with you, Alana. When it's time to rent a place, when it's time to flip a place, what are you doing as far as cleaning wise? What do you want it to look like when it's all finished and done?
Either way, I have a cleaner when I don't have time to like do the cleaning and stuff myself. And I think it being clean and bright, like I want to like show it like usually during the daytime when there can be like a lot of light in there. I think that's most important for, like I said, I'm not as experienced in the flip and like resale. But yeah, I want it to be very clean. I think that's really important. You can take a room that looks like kind of dingy, not change much in it, but as long as it's really like clean and pristine, I think that can make someone want to rent, since that's kind of like where I'm more well versed. Super clean bathroom, just super kind of like Calvin said, like that wow factor when you walk up, like just not a lot of like clutter, a lot of you know whatever. So I think that's really important. I used to have an Airbnb that was really, really important because those clean reviews are public. So I kind of learned how like important that is.
So if I have a rental that is already rented and I need, like, I'm advertising, I always advertise before the other person leaves. If it's okay, so if the unit is renovated and I put a tenant and the tenant is leaving and there's a new tenant that I'm advertising, I started advertising it before the unit gets empty because I don't want to have any vacancy. In that aspect, I either tell the tenant that cleans and make everything, clutter, like Alana saying, no clutter, clean. If I perceive that the tenant is not as clean, I send a cleaner out. And I said a day before. So I say, hey, you don't have to worry about, I'll send a cleaner, no clutter, no nothing. And I instruct the cleaner. If the rental is vacant, very important to touch on 3 points. How the apartment smells is very important. How they can perceive, which with the eyes, which is the wow factor. And number 3 is how well lit it is. A place that is dark will never sell good. Not even like to Batman, right? But a place that is well lit, like I turn the lights on, open the curtains, try to open the blinds, whatever. It appeals better than anything. For flips, we're actually starting to stage it ourselves. We have some digital staging and we have some minor, obviously, like plans here and there, but now we're doing it professionally. So we have a garage in one of my units that we're just gonna keep. It's a huge garage, and we're just gonna keep the furnitures. We're spending, I think, about 4,000 to 5,000 just starting, and we're gonna have a system where the guys are gonna, because it's a lot of space. The guys are gonna rent a truck in Home Depot, like a big truck. They're gonna go to the garage. They're gonna pack everything. They're gonna go to the house and stage everything. And I'm gonna give them. I already have them the blueprint about how I want things to look like. I think when we stage, I think it sells for more. It's proven by actually data that stage house sells for more. Staging companies here are about for like a 1,200 square foot house, they charge you like, 3,000 for like the first month. And after that, they start going, an extra fee. So we like that 3,000 we can spend in one flip and we can reuse that. It's going to take a little bit more time. Yes, but we can always do that. So yeah, that's what I do.
So for us, we definitely clean. We hire a professional cleaner and sanitizer, and we advertise that way. Like, hey, we've cleaned and sanitized the unit. Also, like Andrew said, it got to smell good, got to be well lit. And we also go after that wow effect. One thing we do a little bit different here is that we constantly advertise for our rentals. Like right now, I have a list of 15 tenants waiting for us to finish projects. So we don't just list that one unit, fill it, and then just wait until we get a vacancy or wait till we finish a unit, because we're moving through rentals every 90 days. So, we're finishing them up every 90 days. So we'll post on, the local Section 8 PHA housing. We'll post on the MLS. We'll post on, our CRM that we use, which is Turbo Tenant. And we got all our listings out there. Even if the listing is already rented, we keep the post going. So when somebody says, hey, I saw such and such address, is that still available? Well, that's a lead that's coming in, and we grab it and say, hey, that one's not available, but we have something here that's already right there. So we're constantly advertising. We never stop advertising, because if we don't have anything, we tell them, hey, we have something in construction. Now the light bulb going off in their head, like brand new, brand new. So we can pre-qualify you now. And then once that gets done, you'll be first on the list to see this. So once we continue to do that, we clean, we advertise, we always get the wait list. When it comes to the flips, always stage. So we go in there, we get the professional cleaner, we stage the place. And the same thing like Andrew said, we got hit in the head so many times from these AI stagings and the physical people coming out. And in my area, they're anywhere between, $1,500 to $5,000 just to stage your place for 30 to 60 days. That same money you're going to spend, you can just go buy the furniture. You just go buy that furniture, and
Yeah.
all of our properties that we have garages and storages. And when we rent out properties, we don't allow the tenant to take possession of the basements or the garages. We actually re-rent them to other clients. So if we got a 2 bedroom, we got a basement, the tenants will pay, our 2 bedrooms are going anywhere from $1,800 to $2,200 a floor. And then we rent out the basements for $250. We rent out the garages for an additional $250. We rent out the backyard, I mean, not the back parking. We don't allow tenants to park there. We rent that out for additional $200. So we're actually making more money we call it squeezing the bricks off the square footage of the property without having to deal with the tenant. If somebody parks there's no broken toilets, right? So we're making money on that aspect. And then when it comes to the flips, again, we just clean it, we stage it, and we put it on the market.
So a lot of information here, a lot of information. So people are
Yeah.
gonna have to watch this, especially anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a newbie or not, because I'm not a newbie, and I'm gonna have to watch this like 2 to 3 times. And Andres is sharing a lot of good information in that chat that I'm gonna have to grab too. But what I want to go ahead and do, the information, the whole episode, the people that you connect to, I want to give you guys the chance to go ahead and share your tags, your social media tags with the audience. Allana, if we could start with you.
So my Instagram tag is aspiring slumlord, all one word. And then I'm also the co-host of Homies and Houses. So it can be found on Spotify, or YouTube.
So I'm very active on Instagram. My Instagram is my name, Andres Bernal, but instead of an L, it's a one all together. And in Facebook, I'm again Andres Bernal, just like my name. Writing my second book. First book was bestseller, which didn't expect that. Second book about flipping, it's coming mid this week, and I'm starting a podcast like you guys. I mean, you're not starting, but I'm starting one this year. I'm releasing it soon. And yeah, I cannot wait for that. But love to connect with anybody. If anybody has like any questions about what we talked or anything, I will always respond my DM. So feel free to DM me.
So I'm Calvin Cannon Jr. on all platforms. It's my name, Calvin Cannon Jr., YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever social media is out there, is my name. You can connect with me, shoot me a message. I do have AI inside of my DM, but no worries, my AI is very, very sharp. That they'll get the message to us. We also have a community, the Business of Real Estate community. So if you want to tap in with us at our community as well, you're more than welcome to tap in. And I'm here to add value, and anything you need, just like, comment, share, and let me know that you watch this podcast. And if you need some help, I'm here to help you.
I want you guys to hear, if you got to the end, you got to this point, I want you to go ahead and check out Allana's podcast. They've been doing a nice job getting guests on there, and sometimes it's just the two hosts talking. So I think that's a awesome podcast. You guys need to check in. Andres, you can get his
What is the
book.
name again? Sorry, Allana.
Go ahead.
Homies and houses.
Homies.
Yeah.
Nice.
HOMIES. Yeah.
Awesome.
I want you
I
guys.
actually met my co-host at BPCon at the Bigger Pockets conference in Vegas
Oh,
this
nice.
past
Nice.
October. We knew each other less than 24 hours, and so it's kind of cool. We have very different perspectives. She's from Arkansas, I'm from here, and so very different markets from Bentonville to Minnesota. So yeah, thank you, Gus, for the shout out.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be in the Orlando one this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed that I'll be in Orlando for Bigger Pockets. Make sure you get Andres's book. He'll by the time this comes out, your book will already be out. So maybe I can tag the name in the description and whatnot. But also check out his podcast when he gets that up and running. Definitely check out. He gave a lot of information today. And then Calvin, he's all over social media. He's dropping gems every day as far as on Instagram. So is Andres, and so is Allana. Everyone is. But Calvin also has a community. If you're really looking to tap in, I think this is big, and he talks about this a lot. Mentorship, getting the right mentor to guide you to get where you want to be. If you see someone that's doing the same exact thing as you have gradual conversations, you see it's transparent, you see it's honest, don't be afraid to take this step forward, because that could save you a lot of time. How I'll go ahead and end this. I appreciate everyone taking the time out to go ahead and watch this particular episode. I guess we'll see you on the next one, and hopefully we'll see this panel again on other episodes. So other than that, we'll talk to you later.